Well, what if your body already knew how to fully heal itself? And what if the only thing you had to do was work out how to support that process? That's what I'm here to talk about today with these two beautiful ladies, Lisa and Maura. My name is Katie Dean. I run the company Find My Energy and I created the Colorland system. And that's all about reconnecting you to your true self so you can find the energy to thrive and enjoy the best life possible for you. Today, as I say, Lisa and Maura are joining me. We have connected recently through a TV series called Navigating the Clickety Clack, which is coming out very soon at the time of this recording. And in addition to that, Lisa is a consciousness shifter, awakener, and change maker. She's creator of Whole Being Healing, also an award-winning international best-selling author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, and that's now in its 10th anniversary edition. She featured in the 7-time award-winning documentary, The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself. And now Maura is another best-selling author, so we're in great company here. She is a vibrational artist, relationship expert, and co-creator of Whole Being Healing. And her healing music was part of the 7-time award-winning documentary, The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself as well. So we're going to get into a really fascinating conversation here about the body's potential for self-healing. But I just want to make it very clear that we're not trying to offer you any advice about diagnosis or treatment of specific types of diseases here. We're going to be sharing our personal experience, which I hope will inspire you to look at your body and illness and healing in different ways. And, obviously, if you're unfortunate enough to experience an emergency, please go consult your doctor. But hopefully, by the end of our discussion today, you will see that your body is the most incredible machine that can do so much more than you probably ever realized. So, with all of that set up, it's time to get Lisa and Mara to share their amazing stories. Because I know for both of you, you have been in places where you did find symptoms that caused you to go to a doctor and get a diagnosis. And then the paths that you took were maybe not what other people might expect. So I don't know which of you would like to share your story first, but I'd love to hear both of your stories because I know they're incredible. So um, who's gonna
You want me to go first? All right.
start with Lisa? Lovely. Thanks.
I'm Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. It's the book that I wrote after I healed myself from cancer without the medical model at all. When I looked at, once I realized what was happening with my body and I looked at the pre-paved pathway of the medical system, I thought, I looked at, chemotherapy. I'd seen many people go through chemotherapy. Some of them came out the other side and others didn't. And I thought, well, those odds are not all that exciting to me. And I also realized that, losing my hair was not all that exciting to me because it was kind of one of the only things I even liked about myself at the time. And I thought, I can't do this. And I sat myself down and I thought, if I'm not going to go that route, what am I going to do? And
Mm.
so I started to ask myself, what do I actually know about my own body? And I had grown up as a healthy, fit athlete, and I knew that my body was amazing. Like it could do all of these really cool things when I was figure skating on the ice, and every time I had had a cut, a bruise, a break, a sprain, a blister, my body had always healed itself. So I had direct evidence that my body could heal itself. And I thought, well, if my body could heal from all of these other things, colds and flus and the mumps and, chicken pox, if my body could heal from all of those things, why would it not heal from something else that it's doing?
Yeah.
So I realized that the capacity is built right into our bodies. So my route to healing was I'm going to tap into that capacity and I'm going to reconnect to my body and I'm going to see what I can learn. So I started to ask the question from the universe, my higher self, soul, whatever you want to call it, mother, father, God, what do I need to know about what my body's doing in order for me to change it?
Hmm.
What do I need to know in order to heal? And I got super quiet and the answer came. And it was absolutely completely obvious that my body was not being attacked by some disease, that my body was functioning exactly the way it was designed to do. And that all of the negative emotional input, the shame, the blame, the stress, the worry, all of that stuff was what my body was responding to. So once I started addressing the actual problem of all of those negative energies and emotions and clearing out my light body, my physical body healed itself like magic.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that is an amazing story, and it absolutely resonates with my experience, the same healing from chronic fatigue syndrome. Again, it's just that mindset shift of recognizing that the body is not malfunctioning. It's the body is doing exactly what it's quote unquote should, or what you would expect it to do given the environments and the experience that it's having. So if you would like the body to shift, then maybe look at shifting your experience and your environments. So that's two of us that have made that discovery. How about you, Maura? What was your story? How did you come to be here?
Yeah, so mine was an autoimmune diagnosis, what they call autoimmune condition or autoimmune disease. They called mine Graves' disease, which sounds very grave. And for me, I wouldn't have even gone to the doctor because I grew up in kind of, with a hippie mom and natural everything and grew up in nature. And so there wasn't a lot of focus on, you know, doctors or disease. It just wasn't really in my awareness much at all. Didn't think about when you're young, you don't think about that stuff anyway.
Mm,
And so I was in my early 30s, I guess, and I was just having a lot of stress. That's what I was calling it then. And my stress, I would say, was due to relationships mostly. So it's my relationship with myself, my relationship with the voice in my head, my relationship with family members, my relationship with other people in my life, my relationship with my work, my relationship with circumstances in my life. Now I'm seeing all these things in a whole different way than I did then. And then it just felt very challenging, very out of control, all the time judging myself, judging others, judging situations, feeling uncomfortable and all that stuff. So, and pressure, just feeling pressure to do what I had to do instead of what I might want to do. Sure enough, I found myself, somebody said something. I was in a job or something where they had some benefits and the health benefit kicked in. And I thought, well, I haven't really been to a doctor in quite a while. I probably should do that. So I was talking to somebody before that, just complaining, I guess, about some of the stress symptoms that I'd been having. And they said, oh, well, you really should get your thyroid checked because these things have been going unnoticed and they're finding now all these things about the thyroid. And so, of course, I mentioned that to the doctor when I went, and they took the test. And of course, they said, well, we see something, you should go to a specialist. And my family really wanted me to go to the specialist, and I really didn't want to go to the specialist. Anyway, the long and the short of it is I went, but I knew at the time because I did have a spiritual foundation, and I also did have this awareness of relationships, even though I hadn't really addressed it in a way that worked yet. And that's what, once I met my husband, what our first book was about, was all about relationships, because I really did the work on that once this whole thing started, because I could see, something's going on here. And I just had an innate knowing, just like Lisa, that it was an internal thing and that it wasn't anything about being attacked or my body attacking itself, or that just didn't make any sense to me. So I didn't believe it. And so when the specialist diagnosed me with Graves' disease and then said he wanted to use radioactive iodine to basically dissolve my thyroid and then put me on medication for the rest of my life. I was like, yeah, no thanks. I really, that's not the life for me. So I, chose another path and did a lot of holistic work that has to do with vibration, that has to do with shifting my way of being, really changing everything in my life, basically.
Yeah.
Which was great. I mean, these things come up so we can do that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because it's interesting that both of you had that sort of spiritual connection before, these challenges came up. For me, the spiritual connection has come in as a consequence of the challenge coming up. And I throw that out there because I'm sure there will be people watching this who've not, I mean, we don't really grow up, most of us in the Western world particularly, have lost that kind of connection with Mother Earth, with spirit, with the universe, whatever you choose to call it. And yes, it was coming back into connection with that opened up, I resonate with what both of you are saying now, but when I first got sick, I didn't at all. And I was on this journey of like, oh, the answers all have to be physical. It's what's attacking me? What's my GP going to do about it? Um, and it just didn't get me anywhere. So this is why, I feel it's so important to have these conversations to let people know that there is more wisdom out there to explore. So you've got, both of you to the point where you're going, right, this conventional treatment option doesn't sound that appealing to me. Um, and you started on this path of recovery, and we know the ending. You're both sitting here beautifully healthy, and hey, it worked. But on that process, did you, I mean, I suspect we're probably already starting to get into this sort of themes or processes coming up that you needed to address or explore as you were following that sort of self-healing path. I mean, Maura, you've mentioned relationships, so maybe, let's talk about that piece a little bit.
Yeah, that's a big one. All the different types of relationships I mentioned. And the thing that came clear when I did meet my husband Keith and we did write the book about relationship, it's called The 7 Steps to Successful Relationships. And we were really clear that it was all about your relationship with yourself. Like
Mhm.
that's the number one relationship because what we realized was that every relationship we have is a reflection of our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
And as there's always more to learn in that. It's I'm so passionate about it. Um, but yeah, for me, like I said, that the stress was caused, I think, by all the meanings I was putting on everything, taking
Mhm.
things personally, um, and feeling like I was, you know, like other people were feeling things personally from me when maybe they weren't. I had a really skewed view sometimes of what was going on with people. You can't make assumptions, and yet we do that all the time. So yeah, so it had to do with communication. It had to do with, becoming more peaceful and just, yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is, and that leads into Lisa, you were talking about sort of all the emotions and the behavioral patterns and thought patterns that are sitting in our field. And that, of course, is informing how our physical body is responding. So yeah, I'd love to hear you speak a little bit more on those themes because they're huge.
Yeah, well, we are non-physical beings having a physical experience. But in this world, we are taught that if it's not physical, it's not real. So
Mhm.
we're taught to just kind of ignore all the rest of ourselves that are non-physical, all of these layers of ourselves. And, we have a mental body, we have an emotional body, we have all of these other layers of ourselves. And we have this whole light body, which is like the whole chakra system, the meridians. And when all of that is functioning beautifully, the way it is designed to function, our bodies receive all the living life source energy that they need. And we receive everything that we need because we source it from source itself, and we create the things that we need, and we source our ideas and our inspiration all from the non-physical realms. But we've been taught that a job is a source of our abundance, that, the paycheck is the source of, our stability. And everything has gotten turned in, it's all been inverted.
Mhm.
So we start to live backwards. And we start to, instead of, growing and shifting and changing and contributing more and more to the world, we shut ourselves down more and more because we've been put on this pathway of degradation and death, and you're going to get old. And all of this living life force energy starts to get cut off when
Mhm.
we don't realize that we have command over the energy. So once I started to understand how to take command of my own energy, then everything shifted. And I was able to tune back into source and start sourcing from the actual source of all life and all creation, rather than trying to source from a paycheck.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's beautifully put and very much echoes my experience. And just noticing looking around at, I mean, it's not so long ago, I was having a conversation with a friend who's just turned 60 and he's on that mental belief path of, oh, I'm getting old. So, yes, you can if you want to believe that, or you can shift your belief set. And 60 is like the next phase of your life. And what are you going to do with the next 30, 40 years? So
200. Like,
yes, a couple of hundred, why not? Why not? Why limit it?
Who
But
knows what we'll transform into within the next
right?
5, 10, 20, 30 years. Could be
yeah,
completely different than
absolutely.
it is now.
Yes. And then that also reminds me of another conversation I had with someone else where I was talking more about these themes, and they were like, "Well, yeah, that sounds wonderful, but how do you actually do it?" So I'd love to know. I mean, you've both had such incredible journeys, sort of tools and practical steps that people can begin to take if they're going, "Yeah, I like the sound of this, but how do I actually do it?" So,
I think the trickiest part of it for me and what I see for most people is that it's so simple and we want to make it complicated.
yeah.
And the things that really work are the simpler things. But like Lisa said, you have to shift your mind because we've been taught everything backwards from how it is. So we think we have to shift circumstances when we really have to shift our consciousness and our understanding of things and our way of being. So just one tiny example I was thinking of when you said, your friend who's turning 60 and feeling like now I'm getting older. And we've all had those thoughts because those are the thoughts we've been conditioned, programmed with. Those are like the thoughts of the collective.
Thought viruses.
Mm-hmm. Thought viruses. And so I've been noticing lately when I wake up in the morning, and sometimes my body is stiff, and sometimes I still feel tired when I wake up. And my default programming of that for years was, oh, this is terrible. Oh, just waking up with that feeling of, and people talk about, oh, how you doing? Oh, I didn't get enough sleep. Oh, I'm so, oh, my body is just feels like it's been run over by a truck. We used to say that,
Yeah.
right? Now I wake up, and if my body feels that way, I just go, I do a little stretch, I do some breathing, and then I think for a moment because I'm in peace at this moment. So as I think about how my body's feeling, the thought comes to me, oh, I worked out yesterday or I shoveled snow. Wow, I'm really feeling that in my shoulders. This is awesome. My body's healing and I'm doing things that are so good for it. So it's that shift in consciousness, like what a difference that makes in how your day goes and how your body responds
Yeah.
to what your energy's doing, what direction it goes in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And I actually just love to pick up and really highlight something you've just said in there that again is about programming. We have been programmed to see pain in the body as a bad thing. that's the sign that you're being attacked. In actual fact, the pain, the symptoms are the body healing. It's the natural self-healing mechanism. So when you've, caught a cold or caught the flu and you're coughing and sneezing and yeah, it really doesn't feel pleasant, but that's the body just eradicating whatever it's ready to release. And yet we're taught, oh, no, no, we're under attack. This is a horrific thing. We must do something about it. But Lisa, as you just said, that mindset shift of going, oh, gosh, yeah, it's a perfectly good reason for this. This is my body, doing me a favor here. Let me allow it to happen. It's enormous, so simple. And yet, when you start doing it, it does take some practice at first because there's a whole lot of conditioning to sort of change, shift, step aside from. So yeah, so thank you. I mean, that's just one simple tool that anyone can start right now. Just noticing it's first of all that awareness of what are my patterns? What are the thoughts coming into my head as I notice this thing? And how might I shift them in another direction? Um, so yeah, thank you for that. And I know, Lisa, you're going to have some more to add to all of this lovely, juicy questions as well.
Yeah, it really is all about our consciousness because what we believe becomes what we perceive.
Mhm.
So we create everything that we believe. If we look around our own reality, every single thing that we believe, we will see in our reality. And then simply because we believe something, we will manifest that something, so to speak, and then go, see, it's true. So my example would be for years, I grew up as a figure skater in an ice rink, so I was in the ice rink all year round in the summertime, in the wintertime. And the ice rink is not always the cleanest place in the world,
Yeah,
with
sure.
hockey players, like all kinds of grease from the Zamboni, like all kinds of stuff. So it seemed to be a breeding ground for colds and flus. So my default pattern was, I was taught that when my body was having the sniffles or a sore throat or the coughing, sneezing, congestion thing, I was taught that, oh, you have a cold. That cold is going around. So everybody's going to get the cold. So for years, it's like, okay, well, I got a cold. And then the pattern would be, I would have a sore throat. It'd be really kind of very intense for a few days. And then I would get into the coughing phase. And then I'd get into the going through the boxes of Kleenex phase. And, it would last for like, sometimes it would drag on for 2 or 3 weeks. And so when I was in this whole healing process of, really trying to figure out what's going on with my body, I started to get a sore throat and I could feel the pressure. And I was like, oh, great, I'm getting a cold. And I
Mm,
thought, and then my mind was like, okay, so it's going to be about 3 days of the sore throat and 2 weeks of the Kleenex boxes. And, so like 4 Kleenex boxes later and two, in my mind,
yeah.
I was like, wait a second. Do I actually need to run this whole pattern out for the next couple of weeks or three, having this cold? And I thought, wait a second, what if my body is just simply clearing itself? And what if my body can do it quickly and easily? And I thought, wow, that actually feels good. That thought feels good in my body. It was sort of like my body was going, yeah, now you're seeing it. Let's do that. So I just rested for the day and I thought, all right, my body clears itself easily. Wouldn't you know, by the next day, the whole pattern had run its course and it was over and done with. And I realized that I don't have to catch a cold because it's actually not contagious. What I realize is the thought pattern is contagious,
Hmm.
that these are thought viruses that we're just picking up and we just run them by default and it becomes our reality. And
Yeah.
ever since I had that awareness, I have never gotten another cold.
No, no. No, I mean that's incredibly powerful stuff. And yeah, I resonate with that. I've had similar experiences myself. And also want to throw in there that sometimes it's seeing that recognition of sometimes you still got that thought virus, but it's not a bad thing. It can be that you're interacting with someone else who's got that symptomology because their body is clearing out some stuff, and your body, like your energy communications between the two are like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. You're clearing out that stuff. Oh, do you
Yeah.
know what? I could do with a great clear out now. Tell you what, let's do that. So there's like this multiple level thing of, recognizing that and just playing with it. As Mara said before, it's simple. It's have fun with this, play with all of this. Um, and I know these amazing revelations that you've both experimented with, you've now brought together into an actual course that you are sharing with people, and you have an amazing, amazing goal. So this is the Whole Being Healing course that I mentioned earlier, and I'd love you to share how this came about, what your amazing goal is, because it's just entirely possible that somebody watching this might be one of those that's been looking for this. So please share.
Yes, we are attracting the most beautiful, perfect people for this course. It's amazing.
We are. So Mara and her husband Keith and I have been friends for a while, and they had been coming and spending the summers in my town. And so we had connected and have been going out having wonderful adventures all summer long, floating in lakes and hiking and doing all kinds of fun things in the mountains and lakes here. And then we just get along really, really well. And we had been, for the last couple of years, we had been having these conversations about, gosh, we really need to have some conscious community where people can get together and live in harmony and show humanity what's actually possible when people come together in community. Like, what can we create? And this year became the year that we gathered in community, and we are now living in the same house. So there are four of us living here, and it's just been absolutely magical beyond what we had ever imagined, with like zero tension, no conflicts. I mean, it's just so beautiful. And it became this really co-creative space because Mara's husband is the one that created the inside effects, how the body heals itself, the navigating the clickety clack, how to live a peace-filled life in a seemingly toxic world. So he and his video editor are in the house here, and they're collaborating on new projects. And then Mara and I are having a lot of conversations. We have a hot tub here. We would get in the hot tub, and water is such a conductive element. We would have all of these conversations, and it's like, oh, we're both on the same page. We both we see the same things. And I had been having some ideas about a new course that I would like to create, and so we started playing with the idea of whole being healing. And we just one night in the hot tub, we just kind of got this download, because one of the questions that we continually ask is, how may we serve?
Yeah.
So when we're asking that question, the answer comes. So we got this download of this whole template.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really all about like how do we reach people and support them? Because that's what so many people are needing right now. There is a shift of awareness going on at a pretty good rate at this point. And
Yeah.
so people are looking for answers and they're looking for support. And and in terms of answers, I mean, the answers are all within us. That's the answer. But we do need to support each other with that. So how can we do that? How can we bring people together to do that? And so what we came up with was a big mission. And the mission is that by 2030, we have shifted 144,000 men and women from fear to love, activated their ability to self heal, and aligned them with their soul purpose. And we just, when that came through, I mean, I'm getting chills right now just saying it. That came through, we could feel it. And you know how they always say when you're passionate about something, you can do what you love, and the money's going to follow, the support
Yeah.
will be there, or build it and they will come, all these things, right? And these things are true, but we've kind of just in some ways been knocked down so much that it's like it's hard to believe it. But when you aren't believing it but you're knowing it because you can feel it in your being. I mean, that was what happened here. It was like, how, so then it was like, okay, so how do we do that? Because once we had the big vision, it was like, this is okay, like, can we achieve this, and what would that look like? And so we created a course, and we created a way for people to get more involved after taking the course, becoming leaders and having, duplication so that they could, because that's a big thing about the healing process is, um, you know, Lisa says it's a solo journey. And it is. It's individual for each one of us. We all have our own path and we all have our own answers, but we don't have to do it alone. And I don't know, maybe there's somebody that could do it alone, but I really think in this time, it's about us coming together. And there are a lot of us who are here to support this process. And so what we're building is something where we support ourselves, we support each other, and then we bring it out and support as many people as we can. How'd I do?
You did awesome.
Sounds amazing to me. Yeah. Yeah, because I believe you're already, yeah, well, I know I was at the launch when you sort of shared this amazing plan with a group of us, and that you're already halfway through your first cohort. So what have they been experiencing? I mean, how's it all going so far?
Yeah, the students are they're really getting a shift of consciousness.
Mm.
What we're doing is we're laying a pathway through consciousness to move people from their little human self out into the greater self, into their higher self, into the self that is fully aligned with the universe. So we're bringing body, mind, and soul back into alignment, back into oneness. And because it's like a fractal universe, when we heal ourselves, we help heal each other and we help heal the planet
Yeah.
because it's all the same. We have our own light bodies. Mother Earth has her light body. Once we start to understand how to clear and balance our own energy field, by clearing and balancing our own bodies, our own energy fields, we are literally clearing that from the collective. So we're helping humanity heal by healing ourselves and by helping shift consciousness, by helping to unlock a lot of that programming that we've received. It just like, oh, it like opens doorways. So each week we're just opening another doorway in consciousness, and they're noticing how they're moving step by step into a whole new level of themselves,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
Yeah, we're presenting material that I didn't know if people were ready for. I was, a little scared to go there.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, she shifted my attitude about it. And she's like, we need to go there. People need this, they're ready. So I've been really, really pleased to see how ready people are. We're going deep. We're really presenting with them with some stuff that causes them to go, whoa, and really think and feel. I mean, people are having reactions, but the reactions aren't like confrontational or, the reactions are, wow, this is something's coming up. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's see what is really there. But it's also like we're really connecting a lot of dots about what is really causing you to not be able, what has caused us to not let our bodies do what they naturally do.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much about getting the body to heal, it's about getting ourselves out of the way and
Yeah.
getting all the things out of the way that weren't even ours to begin with.
Yeah.
And they're just so we're so used to so many things. And so, like Lisa said, it's like one step at a time. Let's pull this thread. Let's go a little further. So it's gentle and yet very deep at the same time, which is awesome.
It sounds absolutely amazing. And I mean, is it only for people that have got some kind of awareness of illness within them, or yeah, because you were talking, Lisa, about the fractal and how, we're healing ourselves magnifies out to the grand scheme. So, as you were saying that, I was thinking, well, there's so many of us who might not consider ourselves to be quote unquote ill, but we can see that the planet is suffering. And maybe you're going, well, what can I do about that? Is I'm guessing that those people will also benefit an awful lot. And yeah.
I think everyone's got the mind virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's like everybody has something going on in their lives, in their bodies. There's still a lot of confusion about, well, the medical model, like something's not right about this, because when we look at, what is a really healthy human? And then we ask, is the medical model producing really healthy humans?
Hmm.
And the answer is pretty much no. So, but a lot of people, like, they see that and they want to take their body into their own hands, their health and their healing into their own hands. But it's like, well, if that's not what it is, then where do I go? What do I do? And like, this is it. Like, we have started to create, it's like, here, like, it's not the way, but it is a way. This is the pathway that we have created from point A to infinity here,
Yeah.
from the limited mindset of confusion. And we're also talking about kind of, let's look at what's actually happening on planet Earth, and
Hmm.
let's look and see, like, why are we really suffering? And we start to look at the environment that we live in. We live in an environment of war, of pollution, of, all kinds of, crime and corruption. And like, it's not a healthy environment.
Hmm.
So, we think that the environment, the air we breathe, is the environment, but it's actually all of the constructs, all of these, the rules that we have to follow, do this or you're going to be punished. It's like, we actually have the ability to step outside of all of that entire environment. And there's heaven on earth is right here when we see how to disconnect from the chaos that has been
Yeah.
generated.
Yeah.
So not only do we talk about healing our bodies, we talk about healing our relationship to money, healing our relationship to the government, healing our relationship with God.
Mhm.
That relationship has been so destroyed, so distorted for so long.
Yeah.
And it's in restoring our own divinity by connecting to the divine and clearing out all of the stuff that is not divine.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing you, yeah, using the word connecting, and that's been my experience as well. I mean, there's a lot, and again, it's this sort of holographic fractal concept of when we look around at the illnesses that people are getting, diagnoses like, well, like yours, like cancer. When you go with what the scientists are saying, and they're talking about individual cells sort of splitting off and doing things that aren't in alignment with the whole body, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. Do we see that in society as well? We're getting disconnected from our families, conflict within work, and then, escalate that out to countries and the conflict between them. And it absolutely makes sense how you can, actually bring it back within and say, well, we don't have to have this hugely complex, oh, right, I need to become the next president of the US or prime minister of the UK to effect change. Thank
Oh, yeah.
goodness. I can do it right here, right now, by just reconnecting with myself, reconnecting with the relationships that are already around me, and just, simply noticing my thought patterns and so on. which is quite amazing and and hopefully inspiring. I feel I hope that people watching this will feel that connection, and if they are, how can they find you and how can they join with your mission? If that feels like something that there is in alignment for them.
So our website is WholeBEingHealing.LIFE, LIFE.
Lovely, thank you. And I will type that out in the comments down below because I know what I'm like when I'm watching videos. I'm like, oh, piece of paper. Oh, no. So you will see that down below written out with the link for you to follow. Is there anything else that either of you would like to share? Any final kind of words of wisdom or one little tip that people could actually use right now, right here, if they're ready to begin exploring and playing, really? Because I mean, that's the other thing I feel is coming over from this, that this isn't huge, serious stuff. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of play, exploration, getting back to your childhood, what we all like to do naturally.
Yeah, you can probably tell we like to have fun. We laugh a lot, and sometimes we're laughing at ourselves if we
And
get
sometimes
upset.
it's just at each other. So.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh. It's so, yeah, it's so great to be able to just like do playful what do you call it? I don't even know.
We just be silly. We have a lot of fun. And, the more joyful we are, the lighter things are. We are beings of light. We are angelic beings, beings of pure light and love, pure consciousness in physical bodies. We are not the body, but the body is a part of who we are. And because we live in this really heavy, chaotic, war torn, fear mongering environment, it's easy to get heavy, to get weighed down, to make life really serious. And then our energy centers, they just shut down. And it's really hard to move through life. So, part of our healing process is laughter and fun and feeling light, because the lighter, more joyful, the more peaceful, the more at ease we feel, the more it brings us back into alignment with the truth of who we are. Because we are these amazing grand beings of light and love. So it's time for us to clear the amnesia and take our power back and be the radiant, brilliant beings we're designed to be.
Yes. And the number one tip I can give, if you haven't already done this, turn off the news.
Yes.
Stop looking at it, stop letting it come into your awareness. Just stop.
Do it.
Social media too. Whatever you need to do with your social media to clear it of these things that are upsetting, these things that are, yeah, gonna make it difficult for you to be joyful, for you to be peaceful.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that that directly affects you, or is, happening right here in your house, or in your family, in your community, unless it's something that you actually are going to be involved with in some way, then keep it out of your field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
once I
you.
turned off the news, it was like, oh, I could breathe again. And then once, after I had been away from that environment for long enough, whenever I saw it somewhere else, when I was out and about somewhere and it was playing, it was like, what? Like, really? That's what they're saying? That doesn't make even any sense. But when I was watching it all the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, constantly in reaction mode.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
almost
weird.
like an
Oh, sorry,
addiction.
go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, yes, because I also, I don't know, it's probably a few years ago now that I stopped watching the news. Believe me, friends and family will tell me if there's anything major about to happen. So I'm not missing out. But yeah, exactly as you say, when you do catch it, you just see it from a completely new perspective, and one that is, yes, you're distanced from it. And it is more like, wow, really? Okay. rather than that, oh right, tell me more. I need to know. It's completely different energy. So that is a beautiful, very simple but incredibly powerful tip to leave people with. So after this, go find a funny cat video. You can enjoy that. Bring a little bit of joy in, and yes, I really hope that that has given everyone lots to think about, lots to inspire. Please do go and connect with Maura and with Lisa if that's feeling, you're feeling called to that. And even if you're not quite ready for that yet, just please keep exploring this idea that you have so much power in the way you're thinking and acting according to those thoughts, and have a play with that. What if you change one little tiny thing in your thought patterns? How does that reflect out in your life? So that's my suggestion for today. And Lisa, Mara, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your amazing stories, your beautiful, beautiful journey that you're on and that you're bringing to serve the rest of humanity. And yeah, I hope we'll connect again and hear more about how that's progressing in the future. And yeah, for now, sending you lots of love and so much gratitude. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Katie.
much, Katie. Thank you all for watching.
Yes, we love connecting with you. You're such a beautiful, bright light. Just keep doing what you're doing.
And to you, thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you.